I am ready for the weekend.
Yeah, well, I'm going to a cottage this week.
Oh yeah,
So Sunday we're going to the cottage, and then all the way to Friday. So yeah, it's gonna be
very
good.
nice. Are you taking your dog?
Yes,
Even
the
better.
dog. Let me just get some. So that's why I made this thing.
That's so
Like
cool.
it's. I'm gonna paint it tomorrow. Well, I'm gonna print another one because I after I printed, um, I saw like there is like this one, like this got too thick.
Oh,
Like
okay,
I want to
okay,
make it thinner. Um, and I had to glue some of the joints because they were falling,
yeah,
but because I wanted like to be on a wire, so
yeah,
it
yeah.
bounces a little bit to scare the mosquitoes away. Because last year I went camping a couple times, and first time the mosquitoes were eating my like I'm used to it, but it was eating my son alive,
Yeah,
and and
didn't enjoy
he's
that.
allergic. Well, it's not even enjoying. It's like he was looking like the Quasimodo. He had a swollen head. It was horrible.
Yeah, it's man. If that works, you need to you need to get those on a production line.
Well, I'm gonna my plan like I'm gonna put this on online for people to download for free. See if and because the thing is like I made you can't really tell, but like I made it like it's all joints.
Mm-hmm.
So the tail is segmented with
So
joints,
cool.
and the wings move, and even the head's like
What?
it's a so yeah it's like a
Man,
yeah.
3D printing is crazy. I like. I'm not really clued up on the on the industry, but it feels like it should be even bigger than it is. Like the
Man,
fact that you can just 3D print anything is so crazy.
it is insane. And like the I used to have the resin 3D printer. The quality was amazing, but every single thing I printed with that printer has broken so far, like along the years. Like a little piece, little finger, something always breaks because the resin is very brittle
Mm,
and super expensive to run, especially that one, and not very. You can't print any like after I start printing with plastic on this like FDM printer that's supposed to be the cheaper thing. It's just so much better. Like, cause then like I print so many things for the house, like little things, and I don't think I would ever try anything with joints on the other printer, just
yeah,
because like I don't know, just the type of material it uses, it's just not doesn't seem like there's no flexibility to it, right? So because actually I can screen share the
oh
so
shit,
the so I made those little snapping things. So because the material is a little bit flexible, when I push this into the holes are here, right?
yeah,
So when I push into the hole, it kind of does like it's pretty much like toys, right? Like this flexes into the center, and then when it gets like it's a T-shaped hole in the other
hmm,
part, and then when it gets to the bigger spots, this flexes back to place and locks it in. So you still have like a hinge type of motion, but it's not coming out because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like locked there.
Damn. Could
Yeah.
you ever get the wing out if you need to replace it, or would be impossible?
I print another.
Yeah, yeah.
Just print another. Uh, yeah. So the tail is like all ball joints, and I made the same thing with the like a hole in the middle, so it has a little bit of flex to get in. And those it's easy to pop out. Like they have the opposite on the other side.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the heads. That's actually the head. Very
Have you ever like like designed for like toys specifically with like joints like this?
I made a toy head before. Like there was a company that approached me on Instagram. It was like a freelance out of nowhere. This company does like action figures, and
Hmm.
I did like a Superman head for them, and like that kind of looks like a stylized Henry Cavill, and they liked it. They paid me, and I never heard from them again.
Mm. Wonder if that ever
I
made
never
it.
seen the toy.
I've designed for toys once. I just do you know the show Bob's Burgers?
No.
It's a pretty popular show. It's kind of like a sitcom, like and yeah, I had to design some toys for Bob's Burgers. It was pretty fun. That was a few years ago now, but I never got to see it again. I never got to see the toys either. Just like design them and then done. But that's looking awesome. That's so cool. You print it off a nice size as well. It's like it's tactile, right? You can really feel like how big it is, but the size you printed it off.
Yeah, I like it. I really like the results. So this and I sculpted this on Nomad Sculpt on the iPads.
Oh, cool! Wow.
We went to a friend's place on the weekend, and it's like 2 hours away. So I asked my wife for her to if she would drive because I wanted to sculpt something. So on the way there, like in between yelling at the kids and and talking to my wife and all that, like I got this little guy done. So
Bloody hell!
yeah, and then afterwards I just had to do like the joints and everything and like just the boring parts. And
Wow, so you did that in the car and then with on a family trip, and that's really cool.
yeah, and then I got yeah. So last night at home I was chopping this like doing booleans and adding the.
Yeah, yeah.
And I recorded the process a little bit. I might make a video about that later, just because I want to
Yeah.
record the painting as well. So yeah, the things that I want to change is like some of the joints broke and the leg, like this type of leg that I tried, because the legs are so thin. I
Mhm.
tried ball joints on the leg and they just disappear, so I had to glue the legs in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Damn. Good job. That's so cool. Let me know how it works. You just need to get some like paint some angry eyes to make sure that the mosquitoes stay away.
yeah, no, well, the eyes on this thing is crazy, right? Like it's almost like a helmet goes all
Yeah.
around it. Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, I was like, I wanted to make realistic enough for the mosquitoes to believe it, but I don't want to like I didn't want to like make like copy a real one, like it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I looked at the reference for like 5 minutes, and then I didn't. I just put it away, and I sculpted without the reference. And actually, yeah,
Wow,
and
that's really cool.
and then I just readjusted.
What's the name of that learning? When you look at something and you put it away, what's that name you told me?
Um, Jason Brubaker has like kind of made a method based on that, and he calls it cognitive drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, his approach is a little bit different. Is like you look at it, you put it away, you draw it, you hate it,
Mm-hmm.
you open the reference again, and now you copy it pretty much. Like so, you do one drawing without
Yeah,
looking, one
yeah,
drawing looking, and then you put it away and you do it without looking again, and you repeat that as many times until you get it. Like,
yeah.
and to be honest, man, like with 3D and the way I usually do things, um, it's not quite the same. But I have the reference on a second monitor. I'm not overlaying, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of like forget about the reference for a while. So um, unintentionally, I kind of do that, and sometimes I overlay the reference, especially if it's a design, and then I see everything that I got wrong, and it's amazing to me sometimes. Like the when I did, you know, Anna Kadish,
Yeah.
I, she's a famous like she's pretty famous on Instagram. She like makes designs like cute girls and that are kind of like
Yeah.
a little bit badass, like with a baseball bats and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I did a fan art of one of her characters, and it freaked me out because I thought I had it. It's like it doesn't, like something is wrong, so I overlay, and because I was doing the mouth the way I know the mouth is, and trying to mix with the way. But like when I overlaid, my mouth was way wider than the one she had, and the lips were like not nearly as thick. Like was I had no idea you could go that thick and still look
Yeah,
nice. Like I was, yeah, it completely blew my mind, and I was,
that's a good experiment actually. Like just to see, because we all have our shorthands or ideas that we comfortably go to. It's like instinctive. Like you draw like a line for mouth that long, or you sculpt that in, and it's like, oh,
yeah.
that feels about right.
And
And
even like
then yeah,
the
you
more you
can push
study,
it.
the more of those you develop too, right? Because you get like all those little rules too, like the corners of the mouth usually align with the center of the eye, and
Yeah,
like there is like not on me because my like like mine is more like with the outside of the eye.
that's why like when I was learning with Steve, he there was some lessons where he's like like reality is like he talks about filters in terms of like our art, like everything, like nature and life goes through us and we're the filter and it comes out for our work, and he said that reality itself, and anatomy especially, is such a strong filter that sometimes he doesn't teach it first, because you get like so caught up in that, so caught up in there, like the anatomy of how things should be, that you start to lose like any kind of originality or life, and like there's been times where I pulled my, drawn like overdid my drawing to death, and I'm like, because I wanted it to be real, and it's like, oh wow, where where's all the life gone that I had? And that's kind of how sometimes that's like when you feel like your line work or your clean version is like shitter than your sketch. You're like, what the hell's happened? It's probably because you've been trying to pull it back a little bit into something a bit more like form, and you've lost a lot of that. Yeah. So, but like, yeah, anatomy is a really powerful filter. You need to be careful to not overdo it, I think, sometimes.
Man, and it's funny because we do that to ourselves, and we hate when other people do it to us.
Yeah.
Because like anytime I'm designing a character or working on a character for a show, and the art director or the client starts like taking the fun away from the character.
Oh yeah, we spoke about this recently on one of your projects, right? A while back.
Yeah, yeah. But like they start taking the fun out of the character, and you're like, oh man, I like this character on version 1 or 2, and
Yeah.
now it's just this like. But we do that to ourselves too, like because like going from pencil to ink, it kills the
Mhm.
drawing many times because it start like over polishing it, and like add colors in Photoshop, it's like already
Yeah.
like drop you another notch, and then you do a 3D model of it and it kills it a little bit, but it's like the sculpt's still alive, and then you do the topology for the sculpt and it's like, oh, it's a little bit more dead, and you neutralize for like rigging, and
Yeah.
then it's like completely dead, and then the client gives you notes and it's like, oh, what is this? Like just a generic
Yeah,
bug
it's
now.
it's interesting. I feel like it's almost we have to like compartmentalize like each different part of the process, almost like start afresh, with these new ideas. Like the sketch, is only like the first part, and you still have to keep that looseness, that like to be alive. And even when you add the colors or when you sculpt or whatever, you need to kind of like almost like approach it like a new design, like you're just taking
Yes.
like the
It-
onion skin, the other idea, and you're kind of pushing it even further. It's like rather than trying to think, I'm trying to finish this drawing, you're like, I'm just trying to push it to the next level. I'm trying to like do the next stage of it, rather than like, oh god, like get this
yeah,
rendered. It's like, yeah, which is
yeah,
hard
like
because you've been working on
especially
something
like
for like five
inking,
hours. It's like,
you can't treat inking like tracing,
no, exactly,
right? Like
yeah,
you
it's
have to redraw, you're not tracing,
it's
but
its own
the
thing,
lines
its
are
own
there,
element. Yeah,
right? Like the lines are there, so you kind of like, yeah. And modeling is the same way. Like that's why when I'm sculpting, I tend not to have like overlaying the reference, and I
hmm,
do that from time to time just to check if I'm way off. But like I tend to have the reference on another monitor as inspiration instead of having, and a lot of times I don't get my way because like
hmm.
it goes for approval, and then they're like, oh, this is different from the concept, and then I pull it back. But I always try to push what I think is right.
I mean, yeah, that's
Yeah.
if you don't do that, then what are we? Like I always tell myself, and definitely my artist and like in the studio, like you've got to push it further than you think. Maybe you even think, because your idea is going to get watered down, at some point by like a producer, like an art director like me, or or like a director. Someone's going to be like, nah, change this, change that. So if you don't push it 100%, like 100% concentration, then as in concentrated, you're going to when it gets pulled back by like 60 or 50%, then you're going to be left with like at least half of what you had. But if you don't push it
Yeah.
far enough, then you're not even going to get like anything, like hardly anything of what you wanted. It's yeah, it happened to this week. I was last 2 weeks I've been like, one of the reasons that I wanted to do a little segment for today, but I think we'll have to do it next week, and I apologize for that. It's been a heavy couple of weeks. 2 weekends in a row of just working non-stop, I gotta say. And but like doing some client work, like for one of my favorite clients. I don't know if I should say their name or not. I don't know if I'm allowed. Am I allowed?
I think you are.
I think I'm
For
allowed. For Aardman.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with that because you're not revealing anything about the project. So
Yeah, exactly. Who, as an Englishman, as an
Mhm.
Englishman, like working for Aardman was always a dream. And there was one stage, actually it's a funny story, about 15 years ago, my friend Jack, he was living in London, and he had a pal who was working at Oddman, and he said, "Oh, I've got this idea, like for a movie in here." And he was working at Oddman as just a production assistant at the time, Jack's friend, and he was like, would you fancy like maybe doing some designs, and we can go to Oddman and try and pitch it to one of the one of the producers, right? And we were like, and I was like, yeah, obviously, like the chance to go down. So we went down. I went down to London. We kind of worked on this thing. It was called Space Jeff, and it was about this guy, this janitor, who went up to space. And we took the train from London to Bristol, went into Oddman, and pitched this idea. And this is like, I mean, looking back at the work now, like even 15 years ago, I was like, not a good artist. And but the producer, bless him, like gave us the time of day to like go in there. And like, I remember going in, it's Wallace and Gromit and everything. And like, all these like big kind of like statues, like in the lobby. And I was like, yes, oh my God, it's so cool. We went up, we pitched this thing. We thought we were like, the bee's knees, at least I did. And like, but looking back, it was so bad. But and yeah, obviously we got, it didn't go anywhere because it was, not the best. Well, we were both young and not really, wasn't a fleshed out idea. We had a couple of sketches, like a bit of a script, and but yeah, and I was like, at that time I was like, oh man, once it got rejected, I was like, yeah, that's probably my last ever chance to work for Oddman. And then fast forward now, he's working on Dune as like a producer.
oh, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, he's a really good guy, Ben. And yeah, and I got another chance to work for Oddman, so I guess I didn't blow it, or that producer didn't remember who I was, like
Well, probably they didn't remember. Like,
yeah,
and that's the thing, right? Like, we never have just the one chance. Like, it's not like you're not good enough. It's more like you're not good enough now.
yeah,
Because things
yeah,
like
for
everybody
sure.
evolves and they evolve, and sometimes the people who you interacted with are not even around anymore. Like at the time,
Yeah,
because
yeah, it's
yeah,
true.
people come and go, right? Like it's not.
Hmm.
I had like I thought I thought I burned bridges one time. Uh, I got an interview at I had a full time job and I got an interview at another studio, and they made me a good offer, and I'm kind of ashamed of that because I accepted. And then I went to give my 2 weeks notice, and the studio that I was working for, like they didn't want to let me go, and they kind of like covered their offer and gave me a bunch of extra stuff on top. And I just felt like I couldn't say no. Like I was like, man, I'm
Uh,
comfortable here. It's safe. I already have my friends is established, and like they're gonna pay me what I asked, and they're gonna even like give me more vacation time and more this and that. And I was like, oh, so I was torn apart, And I went back and I said, like, I told them, like, I hadn't signed the contract yet, but I was like, I had verbally agreed. So I went back on my word, and like, I felt horrible for doing. And the HR lady just like ripped me a nasty email, and I was like, oh my god, like I would never work here, right? Like I
Yeah,
just burned bridges. And a little bit of time passed, and the studio that was at Arc went bankrupted.
yeah.
And guess who is knocking at their door now? So um, I went to a job fair with them there, and never heard back. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, I guess, like, what should I expect, right? Like, I did what I did. Now I'm paying the price. It's totally fine. And then I accepted the job at Tangents. I was all happy, and I have like this old email that I used to use in Brazil, and when I moved here, I abandoned. And then I go to check their email, like that I check like twice a year, kind of.
Yeah.
And they had emailed me there somehow. They have like a new HR person, and they googled my name. They found the email that I don't have listed anywhere, and they were like trying to reach me out through this email that I never
That's
used.
so
That
funny. How
yeah,
long? How long had they emailed you before you looked it up?
um, I don't know. Like was like a couple weeks. I only saw like a couple weeks after.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
still quite a while. Like
Well, but
in modern times of like replying to emails, like
well, the
pretty
thing
quick.
is, I had already accepted another offer, right? So it kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then years passed, and I get the job at Sinking Ship, and guess who is the recruiting person at Sinking Ship? Was the same girl
No
that
way.
wrote me the next email that I totally deserved it. But I was like,
That's so
ah,
funny.
I guess, yeah, I guess
Did
they don't.
did she remember you? Did she say anything?
She didn't say anything. No.
Maybe didn't know. Maybe she's been polite. Like I
Yeah,
mean,
I
if like if you're good enough and they want you enough, like I'm sure they offers come in and like rejections like all the time.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
she
that's funny.
remembers, but I think she didn't hold a grudge. And
I just remembered who the
yeah,
person was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a good job you got in there because you got me into sinking ship as well. Actually, that was yeah, it all worked out in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, but but it's been a really not rough couple of weeks. Like I definitely took on the work myself, but yeah, I feel like I haven't had a day off for a while, and looking forward to the weekend for sure. It's been you know late nights, and then with work as well, which was also working on a fun project, but on the weekends, and yeah, just and it's like when there's like a couple of things to think about at the same time, at least a couple of things, and you know what you've been like that in the last 2 weeks as well, right? It's like
yeah.
shit. Okay, which how do you divide your time, your attention, and knowing as soon as you finish one thing, you're gonna have to go back onto the next thing. It's like and that kind of creative like trying to keep up that like creative energy and juice is kind of can be a bit like draining at time, right? Like, and you're not working on personal projects, haven't been going to life drawing, the gym, all these things kind of just like slowly fall by the wayside, and you're like, oh man, this isn't good. Like, like a couple of all nighters, like, and you're like, God, I'm not like 21 anymore. It lead to kind of affects you more, right? Especially when you're getting
Oh yeah.
work, like,
Um, yeah, I didn't sleep well for because yeah, I was dealing with like client work and recording some classes, and I had to deliver those classes, and I had deadlines for the client work, and going to bed at 3 in the morning and getting up at 7, like
yeah,
for many days in a row, and I'm feeling a bit sick after.
yeah, for sure.
It was not sick of work, but sick, like feeling a little congested, and like I think my immune system just took a dive. And
Yeah, I went to, well, I finished, it was my fault really, but to be fair, I was enjoying the work, but I had to get something done for work over the weekend. Ended up like finishing about 6 a.m. I started work on Saturday morning. Obviously, worked Saturday, went to bed. Sunday, woke up early, worked right through all night till Monday morning, At about 6 a.m., I finished the work. I sent it off to work, and which was crazy. When you look back at it with a clear mind, you're like, what am I doing? But then I went to, and I was like, oh, well, at the time I didn't feel that tired. Went to lay down on the couch for 40 minutes and then got up, went back to work. Like,
Oh man.
I know that's not healthy, right? And I didn't go to bed till Monday night at like 11 or something. So,
Man, and the worst part is like I used to give so much shit to my students when they were doing all nighters and being proud of it,
I know.
and I used to like really tell them like you gotta be more organized. You can't be doing that thing, like,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and then like I still do it.
Well, this was the kind of thing where I felt, it was like I didn't have time to do it during the week. I kind of
Yeah,
wanted to do it. It was like it was a project that I felt would like stretch my kind of skills. I'd probably learn something along the way. It's different if it's just like, I don't know. It's not really different actually. Like 'cause I could have been spending that time
yeah,
doing
it's
some personal work.
deadlines and everything, right? Like uh,
But yeah,
but
it is crazy. Like, think about it. But like I say, it felt like I was getting some personal growth from it. Like I hope I don't
mhm.
have to. Not that I want to pull all nighters to get personal growth, but like at the end of the day, I was like, oh yeah, I learned some things. Like I've been using like Blender and 3D more and more in these projects. And get more comfortable. For the first time, I realized like I'm not in the last two projects that I've done, the freelance one and this, I'm not having to like Google how to do everything. Like in Blender, I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
actually, I know how to do that. It's like in the past, I was like, you know, how do you subdivide in Blender? And it's anything simple. I'll be like, fuck off, all right, do it. Go back to Google, do the next thing. But now I'm like, oh, I'm starting to. I can see my workflow is slowly becoming a little bit more streamlined. And yeah, so it was. I don't know. I felt like at the end of it, I was happy with the work, and I learned something. But I don't want to pull any more all night if I can. It's not good for you, man. No sleep is bad. But don't do that, anyone. Like, if you can help it, it's not good.
yeah. The like in my case, having kids is kind of part of it, but I used to do it before I had kids too. So that's just my up to date excuse, you know.
Yeah, there is something different about working at nighttime as well, right? Like, there's something. I don't know. Like, I've always been a bit of a night owl, and I feel like David White, that poet and philosopher dude, says it really well. He's like, there's like I don't know, there's some kind of like everything else is like outside. It's a little bit less clear. It's like it's a bit more kind of ambiguous. Like the whole night,
Mhm.
nighttime is in general, right? It's like you can't see like out your window that far. There's something kind of like in there that kind of gives you this space and this clarity to just create without all distractions. And it's, yeah,
Yeah,
I know there's something about nighttime, working nighttime, which I do like, and I wish I didn't like, but I do.
it. I like to say that I don't like, but I would be lying
Yeah,
because like I like the idea of doing things early in the morning,
yeah,
but if I look back, like my track record, like ever since like college,
yeah,
like because well, my I was working during the day, so my I was like working during the day, and I had my classes at night. I would leave university at 10
hmm,
and do my homework and do personal projects and everything after 10. Like,
yeah.
and I even like I was going to kickbox at 11. 11 to midnight
Jesus
was my
Christ,
kickboxing class.
that's crazy.
And so yeah, I was getting at home midnight after kickboxing, and just like, and I was getting so much done. I have no idea like how that was possible.
It's difficult though, because I,
But
I agree. Like, I never like running in the morning or working out in the morning. It's almost like a treat, like something I look forward to in the evenings after work. But
mm,
but you can't cram in everything after work in the evenings, right? So I
yeah,
took one of those courses with Zach Retz. Zach Retz. He was like I think he was a production designer on Into the Spider Verse. He had like a course for painting, and he said he gets up like super. He gets up early now and works before work because on his personal stuff because like he knows there's a cutoff time at like 9 a.m. He has to like stop and he works. And in the evening he has time to go to the gym. And now he's like swole as fuck. So it's like maybe it works out for him. But it's like he's given himself like a couple of hours, 3 hours, every morning to just focus, and he knows when the finish time. When in nighttime, like the end is like blurry, right? It depends how you're feeling. It's like 1, 2, and
And
for a while
you,
I tried to follow that, but I was like, I just can't do it.
yeah, I did for a while. I was doing like 5
Oh yeah,
5
I
a.m.
remember. Yeah.
and it was great because if I'm like, it's way harder to get in, to give in to distractions.
Mm.
Because like when I go to my computer 9 a.m., I open the browser to check emails
Mm.
and open whatever I need to do, and I browse the internet for a little bit, and then I start doing, and my mind goes somewhere else, and I go back to navigating and back to
Yeah.
doing, and then I start watching something, and I half do and half watch it, and then I catch myself doing that, so I stop the video, like, so it's a eternal struggle. But when I was waking up at 5 to work, it's like, if I'm getting up, I better do like I
Yeah.
would. And the other thing I was doing is like before going to bed, I would restart my computer and open the project that I wanted to work on, and then I would go to bed, leave the computer on, and then like when I got to my desk, like I didn't have to open anything; it was there waiting for me, just the thing that I needed to do. You know,
Huh. That's like leaving your running clothes like right next, like out the night before. Like put them next to your like floor. So as soon as you get up, you don't have to look for any shorts or t-shirt. You just pull them on,
yeah,
you get out the door. Yeah.
less excuses, less
Yeah,
excuses.
exactly. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
interesting.
so I want to share screen again. Did I show you the things that I was doing for the class?
Maybe a little bit, but
Yeah. So this is like the end
oh
result
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
the motorcycle. So this class is in Portuguese. Is for Bench Park School in Brazil, and it's
Shout
just
out to Benchmark School.
yeah. They have like this Unreal program,
Yeah.
and uh, Gustavo is another artist, another Brazilian artist that lives in Canada as well, and he's doing the look dev surfacing aspect of this
Okay, nice.
in Substance and Unreal. So we kind of like sharing this, where I took all the way to UVs, and he's taking from where I left to Unreal.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they want, like, a lot of people request Blender, so that's why they got me involved
Yeah,
instead of
yeah, for
having
sure.
him doing the whole thing. Uh, let
Oh,
me just turn off the render view. Yeah, this, so it's the motorcycle, a gun.
that's really cool. I've never seen you like just. I don't think I've seen you like do guns really, or at least like in isolation. It's really cool.
Yeah, because I always like, I make characters who have a gun, but I never make a
Mhm.
gun by itself, right? Like, and funny enough, let me just turn off the. Let's see if I have the other one here.
It's funny. I've been working on like for my studio job, like a first person shooter, you know,
Yeah,
and it's crazy how much you like start to notice things that you work on. Like guns. Like I've never really cared about guns, but now I'm just like totally kind of noticing the intricacies and just like little changes and stuff.
man, guns are a marvelous of engineering. Like, it's a marvel of engineering. Like the amount of movable parts and how compact, and I don't know. First time I held a gun, I was like, oh my god, this is like, because
Yeah,
it like it's amazing that a little explosion happens inside that propels a bullet, and the mechanism, like, especially if it's a pistol, like, to shoot, like, it projects the bullet, and it kicks the shell up and loads another round, always like using just like stored energy from the springs, and I don't know. I just found it so cool for
I've
how
never
it works.
never held one or shot one, which is maybe why I can't. And I didn't know how to draw them very well.
Yeah, I did. I went to like there is some shooting ranges here. I don't know if they still have pistols because I know the laws for pistols in Canada got a little bit more
Mm,
restrict. But on the at the time I went, I paid like 120 bucks, and I shot like a 38 revolver, 9 millimeter pistol, a bigger pistol that I don't remember what it was, a 45 Magnum, like it's big ass gun, uh, um, like a semi-automatic rifle, a shotgun, and a big ass rifle. It was like all this package with like, and the bigger guns you only had like 6 shots, but
mm,
in the 9 millimeters like you had like, I don't know, 20 or something like you could really,
yeah.
I don't know, it was a lot of fun. And
Yeah, because when we had like the animation review, like the studio who did the work for, were like, okay, things we're gonna look out for are how people hold the gun, how people shoot the gun, because like well, obviously when it's like a tactical shooter, people like really
mhm,
like the players and stuff like are super like they know what it's supposed to look like, so
yeah,
it's like um yeah, it's I guess working in the industry, it's kind of you need to kind of know, like not always, but in a certain industry you need to, in a certain part of the industry you need to know how that works.
funny enough, like out of the three assets that I made for that class, this one is my favorite, and it's the simplest one. It's like just a ammo box.
Yeah, yeah, because you have ammo boxes.
Well, yeah, but like I have motorcycles too, but like like
True.
I just like I keep the uh like art supplies and batteries inside those ammo
Yeah, yeah,
boxes, and I was like, okay, how I make these a little bit more futuristic, and like
yeah,
that's the result.
it's super cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed
Well,
designing that.
let me see the top of that, like
Uh,
the
so my idea here was like you put a magazine on these bits and you type on the keypads, like I don't know, like some information about what type of bullet you want or
yeah, yeah.
of rounds, and then it auto loads the magazine for you. Like it was that was my
That's really cool.
yeah. And I stole the like I looked at a little bit of connection of how the magazine connects to the rifle, and I just made a similar connection here. So
Good shit.
yeah,
I thought you were going to say I looked at like a Nintendo 90s console for the cartridge like going in.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
Damn. So you finished the courses now?
I did, and they haven't said anything after I deliver. So maybe they're gonna knock the one I because I did. This is the second or third time I'm doing classes for them. I think it's yeah, third time. First time was like like some Viking assets that I did, but they're
Hmm.
like uh, way easier, right? Like a Viking shield is just like a round thing with a little bit of detail, but wasn't specific for games. So this one was for games and a little bit more complex, like more advanced.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and they, but we're talking about doing a mentorship with for characters because that's my strongest thing.
That'd be
And
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm kind of like, okay, I told them like I need a month, like I need some time in between because I can do it right away.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
No, that that
It-
that, that waiting like is horrible, right? Like waiting for the response of like the the stuff that you submitted.
yeah,
Like
no,
waiting that feedback.
yeah, no, they because I was uploading as I was going because they were editing like as I was modeling the
Mm,
like recording the gun, they're already editing the ammo box videos.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I feel bad because I didn't name any of the files. I just put on folders like gun. And they're like, "Oh, can you please name the files for the next one?" I was like, "Okay," and then I didn't
That's
because
awesome though. Do you get like any like kind of anything back about how many people like do the courses? Like, is it kind of like, I don't know. Do you ever get to see the work that people produce?
People tag me on Instagram all the time, but my problem is I'm not very active on Instagram. So when I go to check, I see like the people tagging me on stories, and the stories disappear. So I go there and there's
Oh
like
yeah,
30 things of people tagging me, and I'm like, oh, I missed it. But sometimes they do as a post, and then I see those.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I've seen a bunch, but I missed a bunch for not being on Instagram all the time, which is I'm proud of.
So the thing I've been subscribed to his website for a couple of months, and I think it's pretty good. I can't say I'm using it as much as I should have, but the Norman Workshop. It's I think it's in California somewhere, and it's like a school that kind of teaches entertainment design. I think is probably a good way of explaining
Yeah.
it. So I don't know if you've seen this website. It's subscription based, but you get a free little trial.
Oh,
And
sorry, I didn't see your sharing screen.
oh no, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Norman Workshop here is it's a website that basically you know it's courses that tend to be about 3 or 4 hours, some are a bit longer, like 7 hours for this creating hero weapon for a game, for example. And it's got a lot of stuff, right? It goes right from like creating clothes in Marvelous Designer, which
Hmm.
I know you've used, I haven't used, um, right through to like storyboarding, like life drawing kind of anatomy, creating tire smoke effects in Houdini, which is very specific. Some of them are like very like on the nose, animal anatomy. So I signed up to this like a couple of weeks. It's a little bit pricey, but it's got a lot of I'm giving it a couple of months just to kind of like see what I fancy like delving into, because they are quite bite sized, and you can do a go through a chapter in like a course like in a day. You wouldn't be able to do the work, but um, it's pretty interesting. Like there's lots of repetition. I feel like it's a ZBrush and and then Blender, maybe teaching the same things,
Hmm.
but like as my kind of contract, like if my job comes to like an end in 2 months, I'm like, these are the kind of things I just want to be. It gives you a bit of for me anyway, it gives me a bit of like focus to just like learning something, developing something, and maybe having something for a portfolio, or like another skill to have, right? Just to or even just be aware of something. I'm probably never really gonna be making smoke effects in Houdini, or whatever. But it's good to just maybe know the basics of just at least watching it, for example.
No, especially like if you being our director, as you learn how things are made, you have more ammunition to, um, like when you're negotiating with CG supervisors and everybody and
Exactly. Yeah.
producers, and they try to BS you into like, oh, this is too expensive, and you're like, no, actually, this takes a couple hours. Like,
Exactly. Like
yeah,
because right now I feel luckily I've worked with some awesome CG soups, and um, but I do feel like right now I feel like my if you had to like divide it into like some art directors are probably like 50% creative, 50% technical. Some are
Mhm.
probably more 80% creative, like 20% technical. I think I'm more about like this 70% creative, 30% technical. Maybe I'm the 80-20, and like actually it's funny because I don't really want I don't really want my creative side to come down a percentage, but I would like my
Yeah.
technical to be a bit more aware, to be like like you say, a fight, like having a leg to stand on when it comes to those like creative arguments, because I feel it's the technical arguments to say, okay, well, this is another way that we could solve it, or and maybe not, that it's their
Yeah.
specialty, but just to be aware of how things can improve, how you could possibly
And even the lingo, right? Like when they're saying like, oh, the volumetric cache or whatever, like
yeah, exactly,
you know that like if you've done it before, like, oh, so we got a cache, we can reuse this, or like simple things like that. It
yeah,
kind of, yeah, it helps you planning and uh, my first instinct was going to the argument side of things of but even like on collaboration it benefits
Yeah, it totally
yeah,
does. It's cool. Like I feel like the best CG soups I work with, like I work with a guy called Pat right now, who's really good CG soup, but also kind of errs into the side of art direction. And I kind of like, I guess it could clash potentially, but we
yeah,
tend to agree on a lot of like, I feel like for me, he's got a good taste, or we have similar tastes. So we're kind of like, it's kind of nice if there's a little bit of like, crossover between like both of the roles where like the CG soup understands a bit of art direction, the art director understands a bit of like the CG soup's role, and you can kind of like have this nice like mesh in the middle.
yeah,
Um, yeah, right now I feel like that's how it is. It's obviously not always like that, but it's kind of cool if you can find that balance, right?
yeah. I don't think I ever had problems with CG soups, to be honest. Usually comes more like from uh producers that try to um, that never study or practice any creative field, trying to be creative, trying to make creative calls, like in like executives and producers. I think that they have more authority than the artists, but doesn't have the skills,
Yeah,
and like
for
that
sure.
that's where it starts to bug me quite a lot.
Yeah, that can be like,
Yeah,
yeah, that can be a pain. I mean, there are I know some, like, again, some producers who I feel like do know their stuff, but
yeah.
um, yeah,
Yeah,
oftentimes
I
yeah,
think
it can be
the
a problem.
the biggest thing is when the producer doesn't know what they don't know. Because the does that make sense?
Yeah, I was thinking we all know we don't like. Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on.
No, like if we start talking about soccer, I know that I don't know much about soccer.
Yeah,
That's like, and I recognize that, and I wouldn't get in an argument about soccer strategy knowing that I don't know anything about it.
not with me. You'd lose. By the way, just I'll take this moment to say, like, hope England in the final of the Euros on Sunday. Come on, against
You,
Spain.
against Spain, ew.
Yeah,
I know nothing about it. I just know because Copa America is going on as well, and
oh, the Copa
Brazil has.
America is so fun. Like,
Is
it's
it?
like yeah. For me anyway, it's like I've been watching the European Championships, which is on at the
Yeah,
same time as the Copa America. And I hope this like comes across the right way, but the Copa America is almost like I don't know. I feel like the Euros is like a sanctioned boxing fight, in between, like, very regulated, kind of like it's a just pretty squared off. And the Copa America, I just love it because it kind of spills over. It's a bit more of a street fight, like sometimes. Like the teams are a bit more crazy. Like the referee decisions are worse. But the football is like the players are like really good, like amazing
yeah.
quality, and it's just like
Especially the ones that play in Europe for most of the year.
yeah, exactly. It's amazing players, and and it's just like so fun to watch. I love it. Like it's good, like quality football, but with a bit of like nastiness, a bit of tackling, like and some bad decisions, and it kind of heightens the experience for me, and yeah, so it's been more fun to watch than the Euros this year. But yeah, the
That's awesome.
Uruguay was anyway. This isn't a football podcast, but maybe I wish it was.
I wish it was.
Anyway, sorry, go on. Yeah,
No, no. Yeah, no, I was
uh,
just saying because, right, like when you're exposed to something, it's part of your work. You're exposed to that daily. Um, you start thinking that you know more about it than you actually do because you heard the lingo. You heard that's what I mean about like
hmm
not knowing what you don't know, and
yeah.
a
Well,
lot of
yeah, it's
people
true.
that have like that have control over projects but don't have creative skills tend to flex their creative muscles that are underdeveloped.
It's true. and I feel like that's why it needs you need to be you need to be quite like strong willed. I sometimes feel like that's where I've kind of let myself down a bit in my career so far. Like sometimes I'm not like strong willed enough to stick by my decision and live and die by it, like not that I
Yeah.
want to die by it, but I've always I like I said, I got into the industry quite late and I feel that's maybe hindered me like financially and kind of like morally, like I didn't get a chance to like start young to build up like a good enough money to be like, I don't give a shit if I lose this job. So I'm like,
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like I just back down because I'm like, it's not worth the fight, and but I feel like if
Well,
yeah, like if I was in a position, financially, would I make different choices about like would I be more steadfast in my decisions, right? That's a strange one, right? Like
the thing is, like, are you? It's about passion too, right? because the projects that we work with other people are not the passion projects, and the even position, the final decision is not yours.
no.
Like, your work towards a common vision. So um, I don't know, it's hard to tell, like, when it's the right time to stand up to what you think is right, or when it's time to just like collect your paycheck and shut the fuck up. you
Yeah,
know
for sure. And I've been on
uh,
both sides for sure. Like, and it's it
yeah.
really depends. Yeah, it's a
My
strange one.
Yeah, I and again, I've been in both situations, and I have regretted standing on something that was pointless,
Hmm.
like, just and I have regretted letting people walk over me as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
it
feel like
kind of
that a lot. Like,
yeah.
I know when you go into a new job, do you feel like, okay, this is the time I'm not gonna let anyone fucking walk over me. But then, like, within 6 months, not walk over me, but like, not let
Yeah,
my artistic kind of integrity slip. But it does, like you said, because it's a collaborative effort, and you need
and
to have that
everybody,
system.
yeah, everybody's giving a little, right? Like, it's not
Hmm.
because I think what changed my mind, because I was a little bit more like strong-willed before, and seeing people defending things that they were wrong made me second guess that.
Hmm.
Like, I was working on a Barbie show at Arc, and they hired this modeler that was a VFX guy from like, the he usually worked on VFX, and this was his first animation job, and he had like this like super good portfolio, and everybody, like, he was being paid more than everybody, and he was like the star, and they got him to make the puppies for the Barbie show.
For the what? The what? Sorry.
The puppies, the dogs, the
Oh, the
baby
puppies.
dogs. Yeah, and my
We said
accent.
we said the pop piss.
No, the puppies.
The puppies.
So
Okay.
and he made the puppies, and they looked horrible, and like, because he added all those that anatomy things, and
Hmm.
skin folds and things to a cartoon dog that's supposed to be the cutest thing ever, and I was like, no, it didn't look right, and he was like, no, trust me, when you add the fur, it's gonna look right, like, because that's how like real dogs are, and with the fur they look right, and their director, no, this is not what we're looking for, like, we need to go stylized, we need clean shapes, and he was not backing down, and he's like, no, this is the way, like, I'm telling you, we should push, and it's gonna work, and he was defending the anatomy so much, yeah, no, because like, that's how it is, and then the art director looked at it again, and was like, yeah, but dogs don't have clavicles, because his anatomy for the dog had like a collarbone on it, and dogs don't have
Yeah.
collarbones, so it kind of broke him a little bit, and a week later he quit.
So he said he was like a consultant. What did you say he was? He's just like
No,
a.
he was a modeler, like, he
Okay.
was hired, he was full-time, but he came from visual effects studio,
God,
so
yeah.
he was used to more realistic stuff, and the visual effects studio he came from usually did horror stuff, so it's not even
Mm.
realistic, it's like kind of senseless realism
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff. But yeah, somebody else ended up remaking the puppies, and they looked great with fur, and it's with and
It
without.
is interesting when that happens. Or like, on a previous show which we both worked on, like, I don't remember they hired like a consultant for a while, like as a design consultant. I don't remember that.
Yeah, toy
Mm,
consultant, right?
no, but there was also a design consultant as well who
I
they
don't think it
hired.
was. I think I was already
Okay, yeah,
on the other
who
project.
was a really good artist, and like,
Mhm.
um, especially character design, and but I remember like like he did some work and it was cool and stuff. But I was like, oh shit, I don't know if that's like anything better than what. But he's probably on twice as much money as I was, because he's a
Yeah.
consultant. And then and it was really weird. I could never tell who was the boss. Like, am I the boss
Hmm.
or is he the boss? And then when he presented to like to our boss, I was like, oh fuck, I don't know if he's gonna like this. But he really did. He really did like it, and
Hmm.
I was like, does he like it because he's fucking spending a shitload of money on him, or does he like it because you have to like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it was a really weird like power dynamic there, and
Yeah, and we tend to be try to justify our financial
yeah,
investment,
decision,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like
But
even like on some, like when you're trying to decide what to buy, and you like a lot of, like you see that a lot with phones, like people really passionate about like the iPhone network, not network, like the like being on the Apple
mhm.
ecosystem, and other people really defending like, no, Apple sucks, Android's the way to go. Like, it's, well, you paid $1,000 on that phone, you better like
Yeah, it's true,
you
it's
know.
true.
It's hard to admit something sucks when you put your hard-earned money in it. So,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this guy's like, he was really cool and did some good work, but um, yeah, it was just a weird power dynamic in where I felt, and again, it was where I felt like I was like maybe not strong-willed enough to just be like, nah, this is fucking stupid, right? Like, let's just carry on the way we were. But I think it was somebody else's decision to bring them in. But I definitely felt like undermined a little bit, and I was like, oh shit. But
it's hard when you get a consultant to, like, they hire somebody to do what you do.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
man,
like
I
it's
wish I
good.
was a
Yeah.
consultant. They make so much money. Like, yeah, that's gonna be. Maybe I'll advertise that once my contract runs out. Design consultant.
But like I got my drafting table now has a whiteboard on it. I bought this huge whiteboard on an auction for like $20,
That's
and it's
amazing.
magnetic, so the iPad is in there, like magnetically attached, and
So cool.
here's like a list of the subjects I want to talk about today.
Have we talked about any yet?
Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to show the Dragonfly, um, the classes models, and there's a couple more things there. But actually, like, let me screen share the next one,
Yeah, please do.
because this is another unfinished project that I kind of feel like I missed the mark. If I didn't have the classes going on a couple weeks ago, I would have finished this. And um, I showed you, right, like I showed you before, Alex Pereira, the UFC
Hmm.
fighter, and he just like defended his belt with
He did. I saw that.
yeah, extremely well. And I think like if I had this done and posting,
Could
I
have
could
posted
like
it perfect. Yeah.
yeah, would be. And I was doing like, even like when I started this, I didn't even know when he was going to fight next, because it was kind
Well,
of
yeah, because it was like last minute, right?
yeah, he had 2 weeks to prepare, and I was like, oh man, I have 2 weeks to finish this thing. And then I did it. But it's kind of funny because they started his opponent, because he has
Right, you've
his
got like 2% body fat here.
yeah, I'm good. Yeah, like he's going. Let me actually get. I'm gonna pull another image here. Uh, he has native Brazilian roots, kind of
Hmm.
thing, and just get here. So on the weightings, he usually goes on dressed like a native,
Oh, that's
like
cool.
yeah, like a native warrior or something. Uh, and when he's in Brazil, he lives on the States now. But
Hmm.
when he's in Brazil, he goes visiting tribes and he wrestles with the natives.
Really, that's awesome.
Yeah, uh, yeah, that's him. Like on a tribe, like he brought the belts
That's so
to the
cool.
tribe, and like um,
Oh, I think he's my favorite UFC fighter now as well.
man, yeah, this is like him wrestling with the natives there, and like uh, so he gets really involved, and um, but like because of him being involved in like the guy who he just fought, um, he was like, oh, he does like dark magic. He prepares for fights with shamans and whatever. Like
That's
he
hilarious.
was sure, like he was certain that he was cheating by using like some voodoo shit, you know, like because of his tribal base. So he and there is a word in Portuguese that
Well, I
these
think
guys use. Hmm?
you got some kids crying. I think.
Oh, you can hear it.
Yeah, I don't know if you needed to attend to that or not.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll see if the wife gets up. Uh, yeah, my wife is there with him.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so the kind of lost my thought.
Black magic.
Oh yeah, black magic. So there is this word shama that has a double meaning. It's like it's we say like shama, like let's go, like
Hmm.
it's like come on, actually like shama,
Shama.
and yeah,
So could
but
you say that? Can
also
you say that like? Is it like a fight, or is it like? Could you say it like Shama? Like if
it,
when England score, when England win the game on Sunday, can I go Shama?
now it is. We didn't used to like when I was living in Brazil. That wasn't normal. That wasn't like
Mm,
you would say like shama like here and there, but like it wasn't really like a slang per se. It was just like a word.
yeah.
And then he kind of turned into because of the fire emoji, and shama also means flame. So it's like
Okay.
spelled the same way but means both like it can be a verb or a noun, and then when it's a noun it's flame.
Okay.
So he started using shama with the flame emoji, and now everywhere he goes everybody's like shama shama, and like the people who have no idea, like everybody's saying that without even knowing what it means, and people keep asking him what that means, and he doesn't speak much English, so on the interviews like he always like finish the interviews he's like shama and go. So I was like, and then he made a he starts saying now like when it's like is it cool or not, he starts saying like shama or no shama, right? Like he
Yeah.
started like using that, and I wanted to make a shirt with like with his face, uh with the native painting and the feathers, and instead of shama saying shaman or not shaman, because like he was it was the whole like pre-fight thing. So that was like my plan for the model thing, and I never got around
You
to that.
missed the boat. Wait till well, just wait till the next fight. You could be good.
Yeah. And the guy's crazy, he's fighting like 3 4 times a year,
Yeah,
so
exactly. So you have to wait
yeah.
long. I feel like
Yeah.
I was just thinking, well, what if you could make his delta shoulders like even like bigger, wider on that model? I don't know. What do you think? Like he looks like I feel like he could, be, or maybe his head's smaller slightly.
Yeah, the I think smaller head.
Yeah, maybe it's
Yeah,
his head slightly smaller. I just think you'd make him look even more buff and kind of
because he's not, the thing is like he's big but he's not buff, he's pretty skinny,
mm,
right? But yeah, but I think he has the proportions of a giant, like giant hands, and
yeah,
so maybe having the smaller head, I think it's a good idea.
yeah, the surface is slightly.
Hmm.
He must fight in different weight classes though, because like in some he looks like Like he looks a lot. Like remember the reference that you sent us a while ago for the 5 minute challenge where he looks like a
Yeah.
little bit like almost like I don't really know the classes in boxing, but in some photos he looks like really malnourished, and some of them he looks like he's got a bit of beef on him, right? Like
So
recently, he must have moved up a class, right? Is he or
he
something?
did.
Yeah,
So he was on middleweight before,
yeah,
and then he moved up to light heavyweight. So he
yeah.
became the champion middleweight, and then he lost the belt. He moved up, and now he's the champion on light heavyweight. And he's there is some heavyweights challenging him, and if he goes up and wins the belt, he's gonna be the first three division champion ever. Like
How tall?
nobody ever tried.
How tall is he?
6'4".
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah,
So he could do it then potentially.
yeah, he's the same height as the current UFC heavyweight champion. So and like light heavyweight's 205 pounds, and he weights 205 on the Friday, and on at the fight he was weighing 230 already.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, because they
He must
dehydrate,
have.
man.
Yeah, I know he didn't piss. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but
Same buff.
man, I kind of want to do it at some point just to see how it feels like to lose 20 pounds in a week. And
It's gotta be dangerous. That. Well, I feel like we've damn, maybe we need a football and UFC section in our podcast every week. I haven't, like I say, worked on much all this week. I've one thing I did do last night was I did do a few sketches of that Van Gogh project I was talking about.
oh, nice.
I just kind of trying to get like a little bit more refinement on like how I wanted to look. I feel like there was something about this one here that I quite liked, where it was, if you can see like the screen here. I kind of like something about this profile, you know, where he kind of looks a little bit, you know, a little bit malnourished. Yeah, he had really bad teeth. I feel like this Vincent, obviously, this turns into a Vincent Van Gogh podcast. But he had really bad teeth from drinking and not eating properly, you know. So I was like, oh, maybe if you had a quite like, is that an underbite or an overbite where your jaw comes out?
Underbite.
Underbite. Okay, yeah, you know, so he's like, you know, when someone's teeth's bad and they kind of like slightly kind of curve in.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that could be pretty cool. Like, he also apparently had a really thick neck and like a really like thick set brow. So I was like, oh, I don't know, it could be pretty cool. Like, even though he's like malnourished, I don't want him to look like a skinny dude necessarily, you know. So like, there's something about this one, like him sitting in his chair, like after a painting, just looking all miserable. Yeah, these were just like kind of quick, like on the iPad last night while I was, you know, just relaxing. Just there's a couple of artists who I really like. There's one called Jorge Gonzalez, who's an Argentinian artist. We should bring him up actually, and he just like he makes me feel something when I look at his work. It doesn't quite feel like anything else. Like, and it might be impossible for me to do that, but I'm trying to find something in my drawings that like almost surprised me a little bit. You know, surprised like myself. How I'm like, oh shit, that's not how I expected him to look, or how I expected me to draw. So I'm kind of like, you know, going a bit. I'm happy to kind of like keep on pushing this for the next, you know, week or two or three to try and find something that like isn't what I want. You know how I said before, we all have those little kind of shortcuts that we just do. Those little shorthands, like okay, if I don't lose patience and try to find something for a few weeks, I wonder what kind of rabbit hole I'll go down. You know?
Yeah, I really liked the underbite, but then like, I got hung up on that because the mental image that I had of him. I'm looking at his paintings now, his self portraits,
Yeah.
because he seems to have a very weak chin as well, and usually that doesn't go well with the
True.
you know, like
That's true.
the when the neck kind of goes all the way to
Yeah,
your teeth,
it's
like
true.
there's so I don't
But you know,
know.
I don't really. Not that I don't care, but like this is my representation of him. I don't really, you know, mind what he looked like in his paintings. Yeah, there's a movie called Loving Vincent. Have you heard of that?
No.
I think it's basically. Let me see if I can find a. So basically, that it's pretty cool. They sent like this, like they sent this. They made a movie and they sent different scenes out to artists around the world who then painted the movie like in oil. Uh, Here, I'm gonna share screen here again. They painted it in oil, and it's very much in a kind of in Vincent's style, right? So, but I kind of don't really care about that, like myself.
Hmm.
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, no, I'm
Let me know
looking
if
for. Yeah, I was looking at like I think I was hung up on one of the paintings, because there is other paintings of him that he has more of a chain as well. So you can't take that as gospel, right? Like it's not.
it's true.
Yeah,
I think there's only one photograph of him ever existing, and from his like early
yeah,
20s.
yeah, black and white,
Yeah,
him
yeah.
looking off camera, right? Like
Could you see this or not?
yeah,
So they sent this out. I don't know. There was like 60 different artists or whatever worked on this.
it's kind of fortunate that looks like AI now.
It does a little bit, yeah. It's not though, but it's all like rotoscoped.
Yeah, I think it's the uncanny faces, because
Yeah,
like I think the faces has such a higher level of detail.
yeah, it's true. But yeah, that's a movie called Loving Vincent. It's a pretty cool experiment, and like I kind of love that they did it actually. But for mine, yeah, I'm not sure. This is a Vincent that lives like in my world, and
Yeah.
but I don't use that as an excuse to like not.
No, yeah, he could definitely have a little bit of an underbite, especially like when frustrated and painting. Like looking at the actual picture of him, it's like
Yeah.
I see two
No.
different. Oh no, there is more pictures of him.
Oh really?
Oh no, it's just a mirror of the same picture and with a different crop. But I found two. There's one that's facing forward with more of a mustache, but yeah,
One of the best ones actually is uh it's by Henri Toulouse-Lautrec. He painted like a profile actually of Vincent. Yeah, I'll send you it here so you can just take a look. I'll send it on Discord and you can just open it up. But this is a painting by Toulouse-Lautrec that is kind of a good profile, I feel.
this is great.
Yeah. Who's also one of my favorite artists too, is also going to be in this idea. So, but yeah, last night I was after like such a busy couple of weeks. I wrote down the things I want to accomplish in the next, not accomplish, but you know how we talked about, you and I were talking about like this routine that we can't quite get. We can't quite like get the perfect routine. Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is. But I wrote down like a realistic routine where I was like, okay, let's work on the Vincent project. Let's work on the car project, like the silly like the
Hmm.
car storyboards. Um, Prepping for my class and go to life drawing. If I could do those things, I feel like those things could satisfy me artistically in my spare time. Um, and then I've put running and going to the gym as well. But that's
Yeah.
like if I can, why not just concentrate on those two projects? Like, don't be distracted by all things I want to finish.
Hmm.
Like,
So out of those projects or any other project that you have, like if you could if you could have one done tomorrow, which one would be? Like,
the Vincent one for sure. Yeah.
okay.
It's the first time I ever felt I've had a story that's like
Hmm.
my own and profound, like not profound,
Yeah.
profound to me, because I'm like, fucking hell, I can't believe I actually thought of that story. And I was like, if I put that into the world, it's probably going to add something beautiful.
Yeah.
in my mind, and something that might resonate with people. The first time I think I've ever, like, maybe because I know about it and they say write what you know, but I'm like,
Hmm.
I had an idea. I like loved like Vincent for like, I really like obsessed with him for like a couple of
Yeah,
years.
you read many books. You have
Yeah,
like extensive knowledge on it, so you're kind of armed to face that.
yeah. So it's the first time
Uh,
I've been like, this, could, for me it would be, I need to get it out. I need to get it
yeah.
out of myself, and that's more important actually than probably anyone else needing it. But I need to get it
Mhm.
out of myself.
Okay, so next week, by this time next week, what do you think you're gonna be? Uh, let's set like weekly goals for our projects.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Uh, what do you want to get done by next week?
I think I
Uh,
could have the whole thing thumbnailed by next week,
okay,
by next
and
Thursday. It might be shit thumbnails, but it'll be,
yeah,
it'll be clear. Yeah.
yeah. I had a little bit of a eureka moment for my Muse story because remember where I was like, oh, it's kind of like just a horror story. It's nothing special.
Mhm.
I don't. Uh, I'm more excited about the space pirates because out of the meaning I was able to inject on that, and I didn't really feel like the Muse story was like had any of that. And as I kept thinking more about it, and trust, I got some parallels, and I think I had like a, a good a good message because before it was more about the plot twist than anything, and now I think I got a good message to put on it. You know, um, because before it was more like about the reveal of the
Mhm.
creature, and right, and the and about the writer, like the downfall of the writer. Uh, but I'm trying like the parallel that I'm. It's hard because you know the story, but whoever's watching this doesn't. So it's I'm spinning in circles here trying to. Anyways, for next week, I because I'm gonna be away, right? Like I'm gonna be on the
Oh yeah.
cottage.
Oh yeah.
So
We're not gonna be able to do it next Thursday, right?
no, we might. We can either record on the weekend or skip 1 week, and uh,
Well, I'll be free the weekend, but it just depends if you will be.
yeah.
Maybe I'll.
But
Yeah, let's see how we go.
I sent you this app. Let me get it up on the screen here because I want to do in grease pencil, right? Like this story
Yeah.
in Blender and grease pencil, and okay,
Yeah. I also want to use like some. Again, I'd like to push these kind of like 3D skills. Maybe build like his house, like the yellow house in 3D, so I can have like fun with the cameras. Like actually, since last week when you spoke about the cameras, like even in my concept work, like this week, I was playing around with different kind of like depths of field and kind of like different camera lenses, and it was
hmm
pretty cool. Like for the almond work, I had to change a lot and kind of like I felt like even that kind of little talk we had like was
yeah, it was
pretty
good
helpful.
timing.
It was good timing. It was good timing.
So there is like this iPad app called Feather 3D, and it's almost like grease pencil, but it's standalone, like not part of a bigger 3D package. And the I being like I did some quick experiments with it, and I didn't get anything looking good. But uh, the way it works is very simple. I just need to get used to it, and I'm not thinking of doing everything with this. But because I'm gonna be on the cottage, I think like I'm gonna use this to make assets for the story.
Cool.
So that's my I want to work on the house on the farmhouse for my muse project
So
using this.
you can just like sport it though, right? Like
You
to
can export, yeah. And this thing is free for now. Like I don't know how.
that's so cool.
Yeah, and like that's so the way the because grease pencil sometimes you feel like you're drawing mid-air, right? Like you it's always a
Yeah.
plane or a surface. The way they did this is it's pretty interesting where uh, you go on one view and you draw something, but you're not really drawing, you're setting the surface that it's like it makes an infinite plane with the shape of what you drew, and then you rotate and you actually draw on another angle. So it's kind of hard to understand at first.
So cool, man. I'm gonna download that.
Yeah, no, I really like
Shit,
it.
it's how you could have made your dragonfly though. That's cool.
Yeah,
Oh, that's crazy.
yeah. This light is fake. Like even the way, uh, like it reminds me of Quill, but in a 2D space instead of in VR. You
Hmm.
know, because the strokes and everything looks a lot like Quill, and they have a timeline for, but the only thing animatable now is the camera, and I think you can hide and reveal stuff, but no, you can't like make frame by frame anything. But uh, let's see.
That's Vincent Van Gogh thing actually.
Oh yeah, so we can rotate. Yeah.
God, Vincent would be turning his grave seeing this.
I don't like this one very much. Let's see. The,
It's cool though. Like,
yeah, because I don't want to like model everything for the house. I want to like have more like of a drawing feeling,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I'm kind of like bouncing back to the idea of making the characters in Quill. I mean, between Quill and Grease Pencil for the characters.
So if you, this is a rudimentary question, but if you like, if you send this over to Blender, like, how does it keep its kind of integrity, like the line work and stuff, or is it like turn into like just like grayscale geo? I don't know.
I think it's all geometry, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there is some shader work that needs to be done for it to look good in Blender, but it's the same kind of shader work I need to do for the Quill stuff.
Yeah. So it's not like, yeah.
Yeah, so it goes well with Quill, and that kind of woke up my, because I don't know, man. Like I was looking back at the, like last week we were kind of showing the things that we done, and I showed some characters I did in Quill. I'm like, man, I kind of like those.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Me too.
uh,
Actually, they looked really cool.
so I'm I don't know. I'm
Thinking about
leaning.
going back.
Yeah, especially the thing is the process in Quill is easy. You know, like if I think I can keep it simpler if I do the character animations and poses in Quill instead of I
Yeah.
don't know.
That you know that would be a good once I've done kind of my like little thing next week, you know, little tutorial. Like I think working in Quill, like showing like us how to work in Quill would be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, I can
But
definitely do that one.
you know, I doubt
Uh,
it a little bit, but you're like, you know, every time you get into it, I'm like, fuck, how are you doing that? Because for me, it's still clunky as shit, you know.
it's funny. Well, it looks like Windows 95. Like the interface, right? Like it's the
It does, but I kind of like it. It's
yeah, like looks like the old days of Macromedia Flash. Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
It's
VR is the best though. It's so fun to be in. It's like every time I get in, I'm just like, ugh, it's so amazing. I need to use it more. Like I used it for like, you know, that first Auburn project, and I was like, it helps so much. Like even though halfway through I was freaking out, I was like, what have I done with my process? Like I'm gonna fail. But like it was such a cool thing to workflow, and you're even more like that's what I like about the way you work. You have lots of different like, you know, angles to approach your workflow from. You know, I feel like you always
yeah,
kind of like have a different kind of unique bespoke set for depending on the project, and like
but
I think
sometimes I
that's what
just
we
freeze
always
on my
feel
tracks.
like. Yeah, yeah,
Like
true.
now I'm like, oh, I have too many options. Like, do I do grease pencil? Do I do like just old school 3D? Do I do this? You know, like
Old school 3D. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, the old
it is
school.
though.
You old school blended man. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true though. Like there are ways. Like yeah, it's scary, man. Being left behind is scary. I don't think you'll be left behind, but that's why I feel like I just need to draw really well my whole life.
Well, you're
Drawing,
saying,
drawing is like timeless, right? If you can draw well, it's like you kind of
yeah, because you're saying like you're like 80-20 between creativity and technicality. I might be the other way around. I might be like 40-60.
Mate, that should be the name of the podcast. 80-20.
80-20.
80-20 podcast. Because you ever heard the thing like
Yeah.
you ever, like the 80-20 rule where like you do like what is it? So you do oh shit. So it's basically like if you do it takes like 80 no, it takes 20% of the time to do 80% of the work and take
Yeah.
80% of the time to do the other 20%. It's so
Yeah,
true, right? It's like
it is.
yeah.
Yeah, my wife says that I keep how do it doesn't translate well to English, but yeah, that's gonna sound wrong.
Do
Like,
you guys you speak Portuguese in the house? I guess you
yeah,
would. Yeah, why wouldn't you?
yeah, but because she says like sometimes she sees me working on a character and she was like, "Wasn't this finished 2 weeks ago?" Because like in the first 2 days, I get the final look of the thing, right? And then like
Yeah,
it's another week or two of just polishing the thing, and like doing topology and texturing and all that.
yeah,
But for her, it looks the same. So she's like, "Why you keep touching this guy?" like just smoothing it over and over again.
yeah, totally. But yeah, it is cool though. You do have lots of like different. It's just nice to have that kind of option to be confident in each workflow that you choose, right? Like rather than having to learn on the job, which we all do sometimes, but like that VR one for me was definitely something where I was like, oh my god, like I'm literally like I have no clear indication of what is next in this process. I'm like having to make it up as I go, which is
Yeah,
kind of scary, kind of cool, but kind of scary.
it
Like,
is. But like we,
I guess that old jobs are like that in a way. Like, otherwise it'd be boring.
yeah, I don't know, like because the first time you use something, the good thing that you do by using, like, most people would try to learn first and then use it,
Yeah,
but then like you're never gonna perform at the level that you want because you're not gonna be using the tools that you're
yeah,
excited about, and you get excited about a tool and you're just like, no, I'm gonna use on this project, and you kind of like force it to fit there, and that's the only way you actually learn, right? Because
oh
if
yeah,
you
yeah. Nothing will help you learn better than the fear of your reputation being ruined. Like at
yeah.
least that's how I felt. I was like, oh well, if I don't do this, then I'm blacklisted. Like if I don't learn.
Oh man,
Oh well.
yeah, no, well, I told you about, like when I got the job at Spin was like one of my first jobs in Canada. uh, in Brazil everybody uses 3D Max, right? And I got in Canada and here everybody was asking for Maya, and I'm like, oh, how hard can it be, right? Like it's this, like it does the same thing. And at Spin they like I went for an interview and they were like, like we see here that you use Max, can you use Maya too? And I'm like, I'm sure I can. Like I'm like, yeah, like I haven't
Is,
used
is, that,
much.
is that what you said to them? I'm sure I can.
Well, my English was like very poor, so I think I just agreed. I was like, yeah. And then they're like, okay, so do you mind doing a test? I was like, yeah, of course. Like right now, like there was a computer there.
Oh
They
my
just
god.
sat me at the desk where I was, and I and then I opened Maya for the first time in my life to model something for them, and they're like, okay, we're checking you like in an hour or so, and I'm like, okay, we'll open Maya, open Google, and start yeah, I just like, okay, where is the box here? Like, where do I start? And I start bugging the guy who was sitting next to me, like, uh, because it's kind of funny because I learned 3D before I learned English. So a lot of the terms I don't know what they mean. I just know, like, for me, it's the name
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
tool, you know? Like, I
yeah,
didn't know what a bevel was,
yeah,
or like a chamfer, or like for me, those are buttons, you know? Like,
yeah.
and the same tool in 3D Max is called chamfer, in Maya is called bevel.
Mhm.
And I was like, I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I was like, hey, where's the chamfer? He was like, oh, you mean bevel? I was like, oh, bevel, okay, thanks. And then,
That's so funny.
yeah.
What did
And
you what did you what did you have to model?
was a little house with a chimney and like model and texture it for them, like in the old school 3D ways of Photoshop for textures. Like you open the UVs, you export that, and you
Um,
paint. Yeah, and yeah, they liked it enough that they hired me. So,
See, you got away with it. That's so funny.
yeah,
Good
but
job.
yeah, when because I wasn't lying, it was just a future truth, you know, like
Exactly.
yeah, I can use Maya, I can learn in a week, and then I before I start here, and like yeah, go do it now.
Yeah. I took a Maya course actually when we were working at Deluxe CO3. Like I took a Maya course with like what's that college called in Toronto? It's like a hmm, it'll come to me. But yeah, I went and took a Maya course, like it was pretty good. Like I learn a bit, but then never use Maya like ever again for like, just use Blender. But actually saying that, I think like you said, everything transferred pretty well.
Yeah,
Like even being in that 3D space, like I was like when I got to Blender, I was like, oh yeah, I know this kind of how the principles because of Maya. So I think it did set me up well. Um, yeah, for the course, but
oh, talking about courses, I didn't want to interrupt you when you're talking about Gnome school.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think 18 years ago, probably, when I started learning 3D, like me and a friend bought a DVD from them.
Oh
Like
yeah,
we
yeah.
shared a DVD because yeah, they were around for
Yeah,
a
yeah,
long
yeah.
time.
They have been around. Yeah, got
Yeah,
DVDs. That's cool.
and then like my friend did the class first, and then he gave me the DVDs after, and then I did the tutorials later, like on the
That's amazing.
yeah, because it was so expensive to get those DVDs, like especially in Brazil, that we had to split between the two of us to be able to afford.
God, it's cool
Mm,
that though. Like I feel like at that time, now everything's so like all the courses we looked at, like it's so they seem so it's like so disposable now. We're just looking at them like, oh, this course looks good, this course looks good, but I could do whatever, and like having that
yeah,
DVD, I imagine back in the day was like fucking like the holy grail,
was
right? And it's
gold, was gold.
yeah.
But
Same with like skateboarding videos, rollerblading videos. When you had those, like those
yeah,
like literally VHSs, like back in the day when we used to skate and rollerblade, like you'd watch that again and again and again. Now you can just stick
but
on YouTube.
even so, being rare and hard to get was definitely part of it. But the other good part of it was the selection. Like the effort necessary wasn't easy to make a skateboard video. Like you had,
Yeah,
so they made sure it was great because
yeah,
for them to go through the effort wasn't easy to make a tutorial, right? Like a class, like the
yeah.
even like for you to screen record, like that wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago that wasn't easy. Imagine like
Sure.
20, like there was a whole like capture board, like you needed new hardware to be able to do that. It wasn't like
Yeah, it's
just
true.
just get OBS and plus record. So they just because of the effort necessary and the um, unsureness of success, like there's no guarantee that people are going to buy the product that you're making too. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of filter out a lot of the garbage because people were not going to go through all that trouble to make just a random tutorial, like was
Totally.
very,
Yeah.
when they were doing, they were super invested on it. And now if you go on YouTube, in order to watch a tutorial of something. We have the opposite problem where it's like before it was hard to find. Now you have 300 versions of the same thing, and you don't know like you don't know if the person. That was the biggest problem I had with Blender when I started using, because the user base of Blender wasn't too professional, because most professionals were using Maya and Max, they were not using Blender. So a lot of the tutorials were made by people who didn't know the how to do things properly. They knew how Blender worked, but like for me it worked because they were like I was learning the tool, I wasn't learning to model because I already knew how to model. But anybody who was learning how to model in Blender, they were learning it wrong because they're learning from somebody who doesn't know how to model properly. They just know how to use Blender. So I think that was a big problem I had. Like a lot of people thought of Blender as an amateur software because no production was using it, and no, and most people that swore by it didn't have the greatest quality of work. So they just looked down on the tool instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, Blender 2.8 was the pivot point for that, where because
Game changer.
yeah, because they made a little bit more friendly. Uh, they changed some things that were different for no reason, kind of thing. and and also like more high level people started using, because there was also like cycles there, like render engine started getting good, Eevee came out and started looking decent too. So yeah, like the stars kind of aligned during the time. Yeah.
Good old Blender. Now we're at Blender 4.0, right? Is that the latest one? Oh my, out of date.
4.2, I think it's.
Oh my god, I'm out of date. I'm always out of date.
But that's like I always have two versions. Uh,
I
like
have two versions too, but like 4.0 is the most recent
yeah,
for
I'm on
me.
4.1. I gotta update to 4.2. Uh, uh, yeah, so a lot of the plugins that I use, the add-ons, they break on the latest version, like because they keep changing things, right? So I usually have the long-term version installed. So the long-term version and the latest one.
It's a good idea. Well, I last time I updated is when I was working for that first time on the project you helped me with the Oddman one. I was like, had to yeah,
I
had to
think I
change.
forced you to update,
You
right?
did, yeah. 'Cause I think I had to send something to you.
Yeah. Well, it was at the time there was a problem, like things done in, I don't know if it was 3.4 were not open. You couldn't open things from 3.4 on 4.0. I think was like some things were breaking. So
So, can you just give me 1 second, Celso?
I I never saw the need to have wireless headphones on my computer because I'm always here, right? Like I'm not moving around that much, but since I got those, I'm like, okay, that's the shit. Like being able to like go to the kitchen and back without taking it
Yeah,
off. Even on meetings, like sometimes, like if I'm waiting for my, like if multiple people are presenting, and I'm not like, I'm just like I'm still there, but I'm not presenting now. I can just like turn off my camera, and I can set the microphone for this microphone, and I can go to the kitchen, get a coffee, whatever, come back. Nobody even notices I'm gone.
that's pretty good. Yeah,
Answer to people if they talk to me too. So
yeah. Well, I was the same with like even like AirPods. I had like before I lost them. Like I lost them. I lost them, and like I used like the AirDrop thing to find them, and it was like it was coming up at like a house near where I was working at the time. But I was like, oh fuck, I can't go in the house and ask them if they have my AirPods. Can I? Yeah, because you can track them, and I was like,
yeah, you didn't.
nah, because I was like, are they definitely there? I don't know. Like, is it? Yeah.
I would ask.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about the day I went fight for my phone? Fight homeless people for my phone.
I don't think so.
uh, when we were working at Industrial Brothers, they had a community center close by, and it's like Sherborne and yeah, it was yeah, Richmond and Sherborne area, where it's like kind of sketchy, lots of like homeless people and drug users there, and so we were going. Me and some other people were going to the gym every day at lunch break. So we're taking like an hour lunch and going to the gym, and like we're going every day. But like at the changing room, some homeless people were like using the changing room to shower, and some of them were using like their personal storage. One guy, when they opened, there was like cans of soup on on the lockers, and it was like they didn't
Protein
bother.
soup. He's working out.
They didn't bother us when like we like some of like them were so frequent there that like we knew them by name, kind of thing. It was fine, right? And one day I forgot my lock. I'm like, I should be fine. I don't have anything of value. And I forgot that I put my phone in there too. And I went, did the work because I usually kept on on my pocket, but I
Hmm.
just like me talking with my friends, I just put it there. And so we went, did the workout, got back, got my stuff. As we were getting to the studio, I was like, oh God, I forgot my phone. And I'm like, did I bring the phone? And then like we went back to the studio and we look at the find my phone thing. I look on the computer, and it was in the gym, right? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back and get it. I get it, and like I get that feeling, right? And Lucas was like, I was like, Lucas, can I use your phone to track mine? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I got the phone, his phone. I put like the information there, and sure enough, as I'm getting to the gym, I start seeing movie. I'm like, oh no! So I start running, and it moves, and now it's like on Dundas, and I'm like running, trying to catch up to it, and I get to a spot, and there's like this bus stop full of people, and it's showing right there, and there's a coffee shop. So I'm like, is it on the coffee shop or the bus people? And the people are getting on the bus. I'm froze on my tracks. They all get, the bus takes off, and my phone like the little dot moves. Oh my God! And in my mind is like, oh, they're going to Dundas Square. It's a subway station. If they go on the subway, I'm losing GPS. I'm never gonna find it.
Yeah,
So I'm chasing this bus like a motherfucker. Like I never ran so fast. I
that's so.
was so out of breath. And then, sure enough, the bus takes off, and I'm like, oh my God! So I get there. I catch up to this to that little dot, and there was like a Freedom Mobile store, and I'm like, did they return to the store? But how would they know which provider I have, right? So
Yeah,
I go there, and I'm like, it's showing like my phone is here, but like I don't see how. And the guy's like, yeah, there is a Tim Hortons like behind us. That's like, I wouldn't go there if I were you. So I go in there, and it's the busiest Tim Hortons I ever seen, and half of the people there like looked homeless, and I'm like, oh shit. So I look around, and I'm like, how am I gonna find my? So I I make a ring because there's the button to make a ring, and I just see like this group like kind of. I hear it, and I look, and they're like trying to shut it off really fast, and it's like five homeless people surrounding this phone,
oh,
and I walk behind the guy, and I just snatch from his hands like, you found my phone, thank you. And I got from his hand, and he's like freak out. He was on fight mode already, and I just like gave 20, like I had $20 on one hand. So because I planned ahead, when I saw the people, I was like, I got my wallet, I took $20 off, so I snatched the phone from his hand, and I put $20 on the other on his hand. I was like, thank you so much. And I walked away. And
oh
the
my
other guy's like,
god.
where did you lose your phone? Where did you lose it? It's like on the community center. And it's like, yeah, that's where I got it. And then I
That's
get
crazy.
so I got back to the studio, and everybody was like cheery. Ah, you got it! I was like, how'd you guys know I got it? And like I left my phone open on my computer, so they're all following. And Lucas opened his track my phone on the other computer, so they're tracking like they're
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah, they were all tracking like where my dot was and where Lucas' dot was, and then I meet and I connect together with both, and they're like,
That's so
yeah.
funny.
And,
That's great.
but yeah, but the $20 calmed them down. Like was
Oh
because
yeah,
the
no,
other guy,
that's fair.
the other guy was like, "What about me?" I was like, "You guys can share."
Yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
no, good shit. I'm glad you got back, and yeah.
Yeah, it was brand new too, man. Like I was, yeah, I was so pissed that happened, and I
Is it an iPhone? Do you have an iPhone?
no,
No, no,
I'm
no.
against it.
You have an iPad though.
I do. Yeah,
iPads are amazing.
I do like. There is two apps that forced me into the iPad, other than because I was looking to getting the another tablet, but like the pen is so good too, right?
Hmm.
So Procreate and Procreate with like I was very excited about Procreate Dreams because it was about to come out too when I got it. A bit disappointed about that one, but
Yeah, you probably haven't used it much since it originally came out, right?
yeah, because I was so excited about it and then disappointed. Um, and actually, give me 1 second now because my dog wants to. Yeah, so Procreate with Procreate Dreams was one of the apps, and the other one was DaVinci Resolve. They're out for the iPad only,
Mm,
but I think Resolve, like,
I didn't know you get DaVinci Resolve for that, but
man, it works just as good as in the computer, if not better. So, uh,
he's my love for that.
yeah, so because of those two, I kind of like decided to go with the iPad, but I keep cursing it. Like anytime that uh, I don't like the file management system,
Hmm.
like the I find a little bit hard to because my phone, like sometimes I do things on my phone, like I connect like a external drive or something to my phone, and it's a lot easier to use external data on apps on on my Android phone than it is on the iPad. But I need external data way more on the iPad,
Yeah, of course.
like Adobe Lightroom. Like I put it like it's such a headache to get like um, if I want to because I actually prefer manipulating pictures on the iPads than on the computer, like with Lightroom. And but for me to get the pictures from my camera to the iPad, like I can just add it straight from the SD card. I have to like transfer to the iPad and then add
Then
it. It's
yeah.
and if I do on my phone, I can do it straight on the, like just plug in and it recognizes. So yeah, there's some things like that that makes me regret having the iPad.
Yeah, that no, I totally get it when like you're trying to. Yeah, I agree. It's a standalone thing, or like with the iPhone, or it's definitely the like a MacBook or
Yeah,
something. It'd be cool, but yeah, it can be a pain in the ass. But I've had the iPad for like I don't know, like iPad Pro for like 6 years now, and it's still running so well, man. It's like it's so good. It's like almost
yeah,
since the day I got it. It's like it's been amazing.
yeah. And
Um,
I've been using like Nomad for sculpting, and like
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
exactly.
I like that almost just as much as ZBrush. Like ZBrush for
I
me,
have it actually. I need to use it more. Like,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. ZBrush for me like is still king for if I need to do like manipulating heavy meshes, like more like the final stages of processing things.
mhm.
Uh, because it deals with heavy meshes better, and it also I'm more used to it. Like I don't have to think. I just like know exactly what steps to take, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Uh, but the Nomad is great, man. Like if I just need to get more used to it, and I think I can do.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. If you made that dragonfly and like on a car trip, then yeah, it's definitely got potential, right?
Yeah, the Alex Pereira model I made on that too, and I
Oh
transferred
shit.
to yeah. So I did do some ZBrushing on top, but
Yeah, yeah, but it's good
yeah,
like
but
bit of
it's
stuff.
that one I actually like. I started in VR, and then I polished in Nomad, and then I got in ZBrush. So
I'm
it's
telling you, man, you got all the workflows sorted.
no, well, I really like blocking characters in VR. That's the Like for sculpting, I like uh, VR blocking is the best, and but uh, I also like there is a point that I find that it's and if I keep going with VR after that point, I'm just forcing. Like I'm not
Hmm.
really benefiting from doing VR anymore. I'm actually uh, it's the opposite. Like I'm hindering my abilities by not using like the pen. So
Yeah, I need to. Yeah, like I said, just not use VR for when I need it, but try to use it in a more kind of casual manner. Even that like that life drawing app, what's it called? Like your friend I think helped develop it, or someone you know helped develop that.
yeah,
I've forgotten the name. Gesture VR. Something?
I think it's gesture. Yeah,
Yeah, I want to try that out for sure. Like just yeah, when I can't skip. Although this weekend I'll be going live drawing, but yeah, it's just like seems like a cool kind of. I was thinking the other day, like, model sheets. You know how like a lot of people these days are doing like developing like that 2D look into 3D. I
yeah,
was like, oh, has anyone ever like made like a model sheet of like like you'd find like a 2D model sheet, different poses, just kind of like if you made that in 3D, like and kind of on one kind of like canvas and like people on one kind of like you know, and people you can kind of like guide around it. You know what I mean? Like in a kind of 3D space, that'd be pretty cool, right? Like you never
yeah.
really see that. I don't feel like.
No,
I
but
wonder if there's a reason. Like I was thinking, somebody must have thought of that, and there must be a reason I'm not thinking of why that isn't a good idea. Like
I think it's as cool as VR is. I think there is a a gap there, a barrier where some people are not willing to.
mm,
Like uh, there's people who get excited about the novelty aspect of it, and people who it's just like they don't feel like they get lost when they put the headset and they don't want to
yeah,
try. And also like especially now, I think VR got as VR got better, we got the pandemic and kind of it's not something that everybody has access to, right? Like it's not
true.
so before, like the studio could buy 3 or 4 headsets, keep on the studio, and then their director goes in the room and does that. And like Tangent had a few headsets
Hmm.
for like when we were doing next gen, and the directors would look at models in VR sometimes. Like we would put on Sketchfab, and they would like just gauge the scale of characters next to each other, like in VR,
Yeah,
and uh, and that was like really cool. But only 2 people in the studio were using it. Like me and Ashley would use more for joking around and trying to
hmm,
sculpt on it. But yeah, overall, like no, like their director, I'd never seen him touching it. Other, like it's just like um, I think for a lot of people, just feels like a gimmick. They don't want to try.
I know like the Chicken Run 2 art director used it to kind of develop all the production design on art director. I'm not sure because the Sam Fell, the director, came and did a talk and like
Hmm.
for Cinesight, and like my studio is like an offshoot of Cinesight, and he came in like the art director was literally making the sets in VR, letting putting Sam put on the headset, like and he can walk around and just kind of be yeah, literally be in the set and like you said, see it like
Yeah,
in the size and stuff, and I was like, God, it's such a fucking yeah cool approach. I don't know, I need to use that more. That'd be something I'd love to be a bit more proficient at. Like it's just have that like imagine going with like an interview and just being like, yeah, we can do this, we can do that, and just having those kind of I don't know
yeah,
those kind of options to yeah to give to people would be super cool.
yeah. The way I like to use VR the most is to create and remove from VR, right? Like
Hmm.
and present on a flat screen, just because I know not many people have a headset to look at it.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, but I don't know because I think it's more because like I don't consume any much media in VR. I kind of like just use
true.
to create, so I kind so I don't have much interest in. in making things there for being consumed
That's
there.
fair.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like there is, like the community in Quill. They have this like every Saturday they do like a live class kind of thing, and like back in the day I did a couple for them, like showing my workflow of bringing like rendering in Blender things in VR from VR, and they had another one this past weekend about like doing the same, pretty much the same I showed in Blender, but in Unreal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like all excited, thinking like, oh, maybe I can use this. Like it's a different workflow and whatever. And because I kind of put like I was guessing and collecting things from different tutorials, like not related to Quill whatsoever, and try to build this pipeline, this workflow to get the renders looking better. And I came up with the method, and I thought that like that the guy was going to show something different, and he pretty much showed the same workflow that I showed like 4 or 5 years ago. And I was like, oh man, like I was kind of like, does he like? I'm pretty sure he watched my thing. Does he not remember that I did it? Like, I might cut this part because I don't want to like be bitching about other people showing the same thing. But it's like,
Yeah,
I was
well, like I said, it'd
excited.
be cool. It'd be cool to kind of like see your VR process regardless in the future. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'd
yeah,
love
I can
to know.
definitely show my. Yeah, there's like two things on my list that I don't feel like talking about anymore. Like,
I can put on the VR headset as well if it makes you feel better. You know, like oh, we can both put it on so we don't look like.
oh,
So
you mean now?
no, I was like, so we both look like dicks. You know. Oh god,
Nah,
mine is so dusty that it's so embarrassing. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, you have the fancy one.
the Quest 2.
Yeah. Well, they have the tree now, right? Like, but
Yeah.
mine. I have the Rift, so it's wired.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. True. But to be fair, mine works better wired. Like I normally wire it in anyway because it just like runs better.
I'm just in love with this thing.
I know it looks so good.
Yeah, I can't wait to paint it. Might ruin it.
Yeah, you'd have to show us the paint. No, it wouldn't look cool. Show us the paint one next time.
Yeah, I might. Yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna print another one and with the fixes, and if that one works, I'm gonna print like 10 of them, just to have like I'm gonna put them on my kid's backpack.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
we
Yeah.
go hiking there, like there's a little like.
It's a good idea. All right. Well, maybe we should call it there now.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.